Yes, hello. I'm very glad to be here and to present. I'm very glad to be here and to present preliminary research about given topic. And as introduced already, I'm actually responsible to build and carry out different e-learning courses in terms of building information modeling. And of course, today I will focus on the BIM for infrastructure course. So I do have two different ones, one for buildings and one for infrastructure, but they do share the same logics. Of course, modules or learning modules are different. I'm also a big e-learning enthusiast. That's why those courses are built up as active learning courses, which gives actually a possibility to get data which can be analyzed in terms of learning analytics. I have been happy enough to carry out this BIM for infrastructure course in two different universities. And why it's important to mention is that because we want to know something about different study groups, and this is a great possibility to do that. So one in where I have been done it for 3 years is University of Applied Science, and then my home university in where I just started with this course, especially infrastructure course. So in this article that is published, you see only data for University for Applied Science. But in this presentation, I do give some statistics also for that is coming from this spring. Now, why to incorporate active learning methods? First of all, understand where students need active support, and especially student by student. Then to develop students' various skills. So it's not just about maybe homework that they have to do, but there are also collaborative skills. So I will talk about those later, how it can be built up. Also, to give flexibility to students when and where to learn. So for example, in those courses, I don't have kind of weekly timing, but there is only just one deadline at the end of semester, so everybody can just work at their own time. And from a teacher perspective, it gives us a good possibility to analyze how students learn and also to ensure more comprehensive understanding of a given topic. That is, of course, from a student perspective as well. Now, when we look to the literature, then we can see a couple of articles that compare active learning and lecturing or classical lecture. So, of course, it always depends how it is built up, but at least we can say to some extent that active learning has been found as such that it can reduce the dropout rates, which is really important from university perspective, that students end the course and also the study program. We can divide learning and teaching synchronous, asynchronous, and we can't say that one is better than the other. Both can be incorporated, but of course we can see some advantages and disadvantages in terms of both. Now, about BIM subjects in general, the idea is to teach BIM awareness for students and also taking account that it will be given as industry needs. So I have been lucky enough to kind of incorporate those workflow-based learning materials. So it's not about teaching point products as such. It's also not just a theory, but it will include workflows. It's module-based and it tries to cover the full life cycle. Of course, the only exception is that management is in so-called BIM course second. So, but planning, design and construction topics or modules are kind of covered. Now, what is also a bit different or different approach when we compare different ways how something will be delivered or taught is that those courses are high-density courses, which means that throughout those 16 weeks, they have to use 10 plus different tools. And we need to keep in mind that usually they don't have any knowledge about those software. So, and we also keep in mind that if they are second or third year students, then they need to have skills to install, to start using the product, and then also to do those tasks or homework. Now, one different thing about those two universities in where I teach the same course is also that in my home university it's a bit longer, or it gives, it's not longer, but it gives more points, so 6 credits, and in other university it gives 3 credits. Now, in terms of content, I teach the same content, but just the homework part is a bit less detailed. So maybe if it's at my home university, they have to use for their own design like one roadway, plus some intersection, bridge, then in this second university in where the credits number is lower, they have to focus only on the road design, but still they cover all those life cycle stages. Now, just a bit about how it is made up as an active learning. We can see from the right-hand side that it's a module-based, and they, of course, first of all, they have to study by their own some text and video materials, so it's a kind of theoretical module. And then comes quite an important part and also skill developments that they always have to ask question and give one answer to somebody else's question. And it's not an easy task because each and every year I get a feedback that this is the most awful thing to do, to try to find what can be asked about learning material. Because we also know that when we deliver classical lectures and maybe 3, 4, 5 people are asking questions, raising hand and asking questions. So no, not all of us are able to ask questions for a given topic. But in this course, this skill is kind of developed in them. Then also file-based and quizzes or assessments are coming up, again in each module. And one new thing that I added in this spring is also self-evaluation, which is not in article, but I will talk a bit later. Now, we also know that we learn differently, and we expect different learning materials. So that's why also in those courses, learning materials are as readings or text materials and also videos. And what is quite the same after each year when I ask at the end of the course from students that which materials they preferred, then we can see that about 1/3 of students are preferring text materials. So we can't just eliminate this part, so we need to provide different types of learning materials. Now, a bit more about those questions. In average course there are 40 students, and when we talk about 6, 7 modules, it means that we can easily generate about 500 questions answers. Now, teacher is not the first one who moderates it. It is meant for that if one student is asking a question, then the other student tries to answer it. And the teacher, of course, directs them if they question or answer something wrongly or like that. But we can see also kind of how and when they are working in the course based on when they posted a question or answer. Throughout the course, numbers are quite small, but it will give you a perspective from week 1, left-hand side, and right-hand side, week 16. Of course, when the deadline is coming up, which is actually week 12, then we can see more activity. but we can also, I'm sometimes kidding with that we can also see that in between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., no questions at all. So what's they do? Maybe sleeping, hopefully. Now, this is a question part, but another thing that has been included in each module, because they have to deliver also homework, which they kind of develop further after each life cycle stage. They need to present it, to upload it, and of course this will be evaluated by a teacher. And in here, maybe the key difference is that they don't get graded straight away. As long as this homework is not fulfilling requirements, it will be sent back with a feedback, and then they have to fix it, improve it, and send it back, which means that this can be quite demotivated for students, because some students do need maybe 5 times to present it. But on the other hand, it might give a better understanding of the topic. Once they understand, okay, now I got it. Now I'm more motivated maybe to move forward. Otherwise, if we grade at once, okay, you did nothing, 0 points, then maybe, not a good thing to have. Now, some results, which are also in the article. So, because the topic is mainly about dropout, then of course the interest is at how students are working in the course. I believe that color coding is much easier to see from this slide. When we see red color, it means that the student lags behind the schedule. So once again, there is one deadline, week 12, but I provide also suggested time management, that okay, in week 1, please do that and this, but if you miss it, of course you can do that week 2nd or week 3rd as such. And in here, those numbers or colors are just showing 2 different study groups. Left-hand side, we have study program students, and right-hand side, we have a distant learner. So, and we can see that once those rows are starting to be in white color, they drop out, or they don't end the course. And why it happens more with distant learner students, it's mainly because they usually have a full-time job, at least in Estonia, and we also see that the dropping out starts straight away after they need to start modeling tasks. So it's not easy for everybody. Even installing the software is probably not easy to everybody, and that's probably the reason in where they do need some more support. And I try to do that, of course, providing different videos, how to install a software and as such, but of course many students are able to do it anyway without those videos as well. And also some comments about those colors is that it doesn't mean that if one student is lagging behind maybe even 2 months, it doesn't mean that he fails the course. He can use his own time management to still finish the course on time. So from that perspective, I think that it's maybe important to give some freedom. But if I read some feedback at the end of the course, and of course quite many students are saying that, okay, I'm lazy because the deadline is so far away, and that's why I don't work right now, but I just postpone those things. Okay, and 2 more slides. So about overall performance, why students do drop out. Yes, I mentioned some of those already, that especially we see that they drop out mainly after theoretical part, when they need to start modeling. Let's recall that there are 10 plus different software packages that they need to use and deliver homework. Those numbers are probably small in this slide, but in general, the dropout is quite the same in terms of one university. Now, those two boxes that are green and red are new ones. Those are not present in the article. So from last autumn, and also now the red one is from my home university in where this course was delivered first time. Group was small, only 7 students, but the success rate there was 100%, which gives us, again, or which we can come back now to the very beginnings that we can kind of compare now two different universities. Not yet maybe fully, but because study groups and motivations are different, then we see also different results in those dropouts. It doesn't automatically mean that in every course one university is better than the other. We have to say that, for example, construction-related courses, we have 50% of dropout, 40 to 50% of dropout, so this is quite high number actually. So that's why this research was kind of initiated as well, so to understand. And very last slide, which is also